welcome back to Uncut, and welcome back to a brand new interview. Today's interview is with the one and only Thomas Salpietro. He was a set decorator for Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire, and he's also worked in movies like X and Pearl.
We had such an amazing time talking with him, just about the entire art department in general, but also about set deck, especially on Kong. So we hope you guys enjoy the interview.
Let's hop right in.
My name is Thomas Salpietro. I'm a set decorator. I believe we're on this interview for King Kong, The New Empire, Godzilla vs. Kong. Yeah. what would you like to know?
I guess to start off, I'd like to know how you got into set decorating and the art department in general, kind of what drew you into that role.
It's pretty funny. I was working in a pizza shop in a small town called Port Douglas, and a friend of mine had a job on the Pacific. Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, the series they did, the Band of Brothers, and he said, "Oh, I've got a job as a labourer. They're looking for people. Do you want to put your name in?" I went, "Oh yeah, no worries." At that, I think I was 17, 18 at the time, and then yeah, got the job, and then just followed it and kept working. And I'd drive, if I heard there was 2 days work in Melbourne, I would drive, 4,000 kilometers across country and do those 2 days and hope to sort of get more. And that 2 days turned into 2 weeks, and then 2 months. And then I ended up in New Zealand with some people I met and started working on a few projects there. And then it progressed and progressed. And then I took a break for a while, and then came back and then started traveling overseas, and it just sort of grew and grew and grew. And yeah, then the rest is sort of history. That's it, really.
It's just like about the drive and the passion that you put into it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't generally. I've always loved film, but the love for film grew more and more. The more I got into it, the more I started doing it, I just sort of got more involved. And now I love every aspect of film, and I probably watch sometimes 2 to 3 movies a day, I'd say, when I come home, and even like real bad movies I love just as much as I love really good movies. Yeah, I love everything about it. It's cool.
So I guess on that kind of note, is there something specific about set decoration and the art department that drew you in, or you're looking to further that into other fields of filmmaking?
Oh yeah, I think that the whole aspect of filmmaking's awesome. I've been doing a few short films at the moment, and written a couple of projects and putting the feelers out, networking with other people. But the set decorating is nice because you get to create the worlds, you get to break down the script, you get to put in an input and to tell a story. And it's also telling a story, not just from what you've read on the script, but telling a story of that character and giving the background. And you can do that with environments. And I mean, look at like Bernie's apartment, for instance, on Kong. You can sort of see what the team did to put all that together and tell that story that he lives in his little den, and he's a full cyber hack, and he's his mind's just on everything. So if you just had a blank wall and a couple of filing cabinets, you wouldn't think much, but when you see it all there, it's like, oh my God, this guy is crazy, and that's what we wanted to sort of portray. So yeah, having that opportunity with set deck is really fun. It's really good.
That's awesome. Kind of like going off of working in set deck, I myself am trying to get into more art department stuff, but because I'm working on more student sets, I am both production designer, set decorator, prop master, all in one person. I'm usually one of the only people there. So I'm curious, what it's like to actually have people in these specific roles, how much collaboration is involved in that? How do you work together as a team?
Every project's different. It all always depends on budgets, I'd say. But the bigger the team and the bigger the budget, you generally get to focus more on delivering specifics and with collaboration. So you'd work with the designer who that would be your meeting point in set deck. And then then you've got props as well, so you've got to do a crossover with them. And it's like if you don't, you wouldn't want to have like a set that was supposed to be green, let's say, and then the props guy brings in a bright red toaster. You know, it's just gonna throw everything out of whack. So
Yeah.
you kind of it's a hard one to say because everything's different. But you try and communicate as much as possible and share ideas, and it all sort of everything's so organic, you know, and it all sort of just funnels. It's chaos, and it's like this big tumbleweed that just rolls, and then all of a sudden you deliver the picture, you know. So yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. I don't know if I gave you something out of that, but
Yeah, for sure. I
yeah.
mean, that kind of brought to my mind. I've known this concept in film that just blows my mind. The fact that like if there is a towel in the background, it's set decoration. If they're wiping their hands with it, it's a prop. But if they're getting out of the shower with it on, then it's costume.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy how all of that can just like merge, and it gets
Mhm.
kind of
Well,
muddy.
it is muddy, but you communicate, you know, and when you've got so many creatives, it can go two ways. It can go really well, or it can go really bad. And you put all these creative people together, generally it flows, and you come out with a beautiful picture, you know. And it's like if you had I wouldn't put a black couch in a set if someone was in a black dress because they'd disappear. You wouldn't pay, you know what I mean? That's that sort of.
For sure.
You just got to communicate as much as possible in regards to that. I think communication is key.
I guess for specifically for Godzilla X Kong, when you're working as like a group, were there any like significant challenges or things you had to overcome in both like pre-production and on set to accomplish what you're aiming for?
So many challenges. So many challenges. Biggest thing I would say to people, some people would go, "Oh, but that doesn't make any sense." And I'd go, "Well, neither does a 100-foot gorilla, but we're doing it anyway." You know. So the challenges. I mean, it's time, it's budget, schedule changes. Just staying positive. You know, one of the locations we had was a 3-hour airplane ride and then a 3-hour drive, and you had to go across a river on a ferry and then drive into the jungle and then do a set. And then we had that set way up there for the exterior. And then we had the interior back at the studios that was, you know, 3,500 kilometers away. Wow. So try to tie all that together is definitely a challenge. But I think, yeah, art department, key is to be as organized as you can, but you never are. And you just got to go with it and deliver your best, you know.
I guess I'm kind of curious, like in the ruins that they find in the underworld, all of those markings and everything, will that fall under set decoration?
It's a collaboration. Like would have a graphics team on, and the designer would work with concept artists, and those concept artists we'd bring some ideas to the table by doing reference and research on, you know, certain type of religions and cultures, and then the graphics person would take that on and create that style and form that into something, and then we look at them all and we go, oh, that one's the best. Which one do you like? I like that, and you it's kind of like a Coke bottle effect, and then you get everything together, and finally you're down to 2 options, and then you're down to 1, and then it gets approved, and then away you go.
I mean, it was beautiful.
Yeah, that was great. I like that.
That was a really cool set. Hey, that was such a cool set. Yeah.
And that was that on a studio, or was that done
studio? Studio. A lot of that show was studio, yeah.
I guess that kind of goes into our next question of like because like so much of this movie, as you know, is like visual effects, computer effects. So what are like some of like the major like differences in your work when you're working on a set that is so VFX heavy versus like a more like traditional film?
I suppose trying to picture it before you see it, you know. So you try your best. You get concepts and everything, and you can never really tell in your mind until you actually see the see what it is. But I think once again, it's down to communication.
Mhm.
It's just communication, understanding what they want to achieve, and like obviously with that visual effects stuff, it has to end from our side of things, and then the VFX starts. So you need to give them as much as you can so they can then carry that on.
Mm-hmm.
And hats off to all the concept artists. And we had one guy, Alex Moy, and he was amazing. He'd draw all these worlds, and you just go like, man, how are you thinking of this?
Yeah.
It's so cool. And Tom Hammock, the production designer, like he's amazing too. It's the same thing. It starts like this with 10, 15 ideas, and it just
Mm-hmm.
gets to this, and then it goes forward.
From our experience working on mostly student films, the set deck usually will have your set decoration done, and then we start shooting, and it's kind of like, okay, I'm off to the side, I'm off to do something else. You as a professional set decorator, would you stay on set? Would you like change things around in midst of filming, or like what like is there a function specifically usually in films that you have to be on set to just be moving stuff around?
No, we generally, we'll spend a lot of time developing, creating, and then we deliver a set,
Hmm.
and then we'll come and go. And like I say, there's a change in the set where it's daytime, then nighttime, then there's the house has been trashed, so you'd have to come and redecorate that to be trashed. But then we have a team on that represents us, so you'd have a standby art director, and then you'd have standby props and standby set decorator, or standby set dresser, sorry, and they would just liaise with us, and we'd be on because everything's so fast. You never have time to sort of stay
Mm-hmm.
for the duration. You generally deliver that set, and you're on to the next one.
Yeah.
And then you've got to get that one ready. So, there's always someone there representing, but myself as a decorator, no, I'll generally hand over and then get out. And obviously, if there's any problems, my phone's always there, and you call and you come in to resolve something. But yeah, generally don't really hang around. We can. It's always good to get some catering, and then leave.
Oh wow. So this is unrelated to Godzilla, but I saw that you also worked on Pearl and X.
Yes.
Which
Totally.
I was like, well, I was so excited when I heard that you were on that. So just like side note, what was it like working on those films? What was that process like?
So good. So they're probably one of the funnest sections of film. Like we started with X, and we were halfway through X, and then Ty West just was like, I'm writing another script. And then I was at the rap party for X. I was at the rap party for X, and I got a tap on the shoulder and was like, hey, you want to do the next one? And I was like, yeah, that sounds good. When? And they're like, start tomorrow. And I was like, oh. It was around the time of COVID too. So I think we had all the sets, we had the locations. So we'd already built all that. So we just had to change the period, from going from the 70s into the 20s, or the 20s, yeah. But that was so much fun. I love horror. Like horror's my thing. I'll sit there and watch horror over and over and over and over again. But yeah, that same designer, Tom Hammock, and working for him, he's such a cool dude. Everyone on those shows were amazing. Yeah, Pearl and X. They just did Maxine, hey? That's coming out soon, which I'm really excited to see. That was in the States, and so yeah, I didn't get to do that one, but
We just interviewed a cinematographer for a horror film, Abigail, and we interviewed a costume designer for another movie that is really bloody. I guess as a set decorator, do you have to take into account a lot the fact that there's gonna be a lot of blood on set?
Depending on the film, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. So there'd be things like if you've got curtains, say, or a rug or carpets, you'd want to have an extra set or an extra few sets or repeats. They're definitely things that you have to consider. Oh yeah, I remember on X when I think, yeah, when Pearl gets blown out the door
Mhm.
with the blood in that hallway. Oh man, yeah, I think we had like 4 or 5 pieces of vinyl laid down, and then people with mops, and you
Oh
got to
my
clean
God.
it up, then it's reset. It's like there's one thing they always love to do as well: burn a house and then reset it. And you're like, why are we? Can't we just finish with the burn? You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
think on Krampus, we did that a few times. The house would burn, and then it was like reset the house, and you're like, or a week later, they're like, oh, we need to reset that, and you're like, oh my god. Again, like there's obviously the schedule changes and what have you.
Mhm.
Everyone's generally pretty good, but it happens, yeah. And blood, yeah, it's a nightmare. And you come home if you're on set that day, you come home, you're sticky out, wake up, you know, there's ants crawling all over you because you can't get it off you. Yeah, so maybe not that bad, but yeah, it happens.
I mean, that just almost kind of makes me think of this is completely side note, but in the Dark Knight Rises, I think when they blow up the hospital, it's like you have one shot.
I think that, yeah,
Yeah,
that was the last
I
Yeah.
mean,
one.
look, there's certain things, yeah,
For
there's
sure.
certain things you've got one shot for, but yeah, generally won't worry about the set decoration department having to put up another curtain. That's definitely going to happen, you know. But
So,
yeah,
getting into some of our final questions, I'm curious if there's any like super memorable moment you have from Kong that sticks out to you.
there's a few, but I probably couldn't tell you. I
Mm.
probably shouldn't tell you. I probably shouldn't tell you.
You have
No,
to
there's that. Yeah, no, definitely a few. I tell you what, let me think about that while you ask another
For
question
sure.
and see if I
Okay.
come back to it.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, like same situation. Is there something memorable working in any of the sets at the top of your head that you're like this one moment in this one set was just amazing?
I think, oh, you have so many amazing
It's difficult.
times. Like, it is difficult. It is difficult. So the sense of achievement's pretty nice when you've been through hell and back. Feel like you've been to Nam, and you know you've worked so many hours and you're tired, and then at the end of it you're like, ah. But
I mean, as a set decorator, like for example, an actor, you kind of like, yeah, you prepare and everything, but you come to set, you film, you go home. As a set decorator, you have work to do, plenty of work to do
Mhm.
before the moving, before the actors are even cast sometimes.
yeah, totally. Like, yeah, we're there sometimes 3 months before, you know,
Hmm.
sometimes longer. Seems to be getting shorter and shorter as time goes on. I don't know why, but yeah, there's too many. I'd have to. I'll have to post it in a comment section on your TikTok or Instagram when I remember.
For
How's
sure.
that sound?
All right, so let's do this. We'll
There you
put this one up on social media, and then you can feel free to give us a comment on that one
there you
and see.
Yeah, there you go.
go. And as kind of since you know our whole audience is majority people that either work in the industry or want to work in the industry. So what is something that you would give as like a piece of advice for someone that wants to get into it, maybe specifically for art department? What would you tell them?
I'd say reach out and keep reaching out, and I wouldn't always say that film school is necessary, so I wouldn't let people feel bummed out if they hadn't been to film school or anything like that. But get amongst it as much as you possibly can and take any in. Don't just think, oh, I want to work in art department, so I need a job in the art department. You might get a job in catering and then meet people in art department. It's that there's that route, and then live it, breathe it, eat it. It's like if you want to be a hairdresser, go cut hair. If you want to make films, well, go make films and just don't give up. Just keep going. There's been lulls. I haven't had work for 6 months, a year, and then you're like, oh man, what's going on? And you just got to keep going, and just keep pursuing and keep asking. It never hurts to ask someone. Manners, and being polite will get you far.
Oh, that's
And hard work. You got to work hard.
great. Is there anything at all you can share with us about things that are upcoming?
No.
That's okay. We totally.
I
I mean, the
can
most
tell you about,
exciting.
I can tell you about films I'm not on that are upcoming. But,
I mean, yeah, if you want to give a film recommendation, what is a movie that you've watched recently that you say like, wow, you have to watch this movie?
I'd say Rotting in the Sun.
Okay, haven't heard of that one.
Rotting in the Sun, Argentinian director Sebastian Silva. Might not be for everyone, but very cool film. Shot in Mexico. It's very cool. Very cool. Check that out. Oh, and I'll drop a few in the comment thing as well. You can, yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect.
So, and we have this one thing that at the end of our episodes, we always clap it out. We say and cut, and then we clap. So it will be a pleasure for us if you could just bid us farewell, say goodbye to our audience, and then just do the clap and cut for us.
No worries. Do you want me to start? Do I start now?
However you feel right.
Hey, thank you so much, guys, for the interview and everyone watching. These guys are awesome. And cut.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Cut. You can follow us on all social media, starting with Instagram as Cut the podcast. You can also follow us on YouTube as That Film Couple, which is the same handle for TikTok, That Film Couple for short form content. You can also follow us on Twitch as Sebasparra1K. And if you're watching right now on YouTube, you can find us on any podcast platform as Cut exclamation mark. Last but not least, you can follow me on Instagram as sebi.mp4.
And you can follow me at caitlin.mp4.
Thank you so much for being here one more week, and we'll see you in the next one.